Welcome back to Naval News, everybody. Today we're going to go over the fleet tracker. We're going to see here on Christmas week when we're all getting ready to spend time with our families, getting together. People we haven't seen in a long time, maybe a couple years, for recent events. Couldn't see people last year. There's still a lot of U.S. Navy sailors, Marines, airmen, all around the world being deployed so that we can enjoy these times together. And so we're going to talk about who's at sea on Christmas week. Let's start here with our battle force. We're down to 295 ships. Of those ships, we have 58 underway. 58 ships underway right now, keeping the peace, keeping an eye on everything. Let's start in Japan. Here we have a frocking ceremony. Cryptological technician, that means she's very smart. Third class Whitney Dorset returns to formation after a frocking ceremony. Frocking is a ceremonial promotion after your promotion gets approved, but you often aren't getting paid or officially that new rank for a few months later. But she can begin wearing the insignia for the rank she has just earned. So congratulations to a cryptological technician, third class Whitney Dorset. Good job. All right, staying in Japan, look at these chuckleheads. Oh, man. So these guys are having a good time. Looks like they're getting ready to do some fire drills, fire training here. This guy's looks like a second-class petty officer there. And this guy's in a steam suit. This thing is hot. This guy, he's sweating his balls off right now. So aviation bosun's mate handling second class Bennett Cohen from Honolulu, assigned to forward deployed amphibious ship USS America, LHA-6, direct sailors during an aircraft firefighting drill in the ship's hangar. Good job. Staying in the Western Pacific. Hey, where's his crash helmet at? What? Hold on a second. This sailor's not being safe. Aviation bosun's mate handling third class Matthew Strickland, native of Tallahassee, Florida. I know where that's at. That's pretty close to where I used to live. Acts as a safety observer. Well, who's watching the safety observer? Because he's not being very safe right now. Assigned to the gauntlets. That's the AE-18G Growlers. Oh, they just got the new ECM package too. Those guys are badass. They can fry your popcorn and jam raiders at the same time. It's fun. It's a great place to be. Yeah. He should be wearing a helicopter helmet or a crash helmet of some kind. Okay, here's the aircraft carrier. Oh, look at that. That's big. Look at all the planes on it too. All right, this is the Nimitz-class aircraft carrier USS Carl Vinson CVN-70 transits the Indian Ocean. So imagine spending Christmas on one of these things. I would love to, but I understand when you're young, you want to be with your family. I'm sure they'd rather be home this week for sure. But man, what an experience that is. Okay, on board the Carl Vinson, who's home ported out of San Diego, is Carrier Air Wing 2, it says. See, now he's got his helmet on. This is the helmet I'm talking about. Yeah. Helmet's on. Okay, sailor supports flight operations on the flight deck of the Nimitz. Sorry, I'm cutting his head off. It's the banner here. I can't control that. And here are all the air wings that are with him. So a big shout out to the Argonauts, the Bounty Hunters, the Stingers and the Golden Dragons, the Gauntlets, the Black Eagles, the Titans, Black Knights, and Blue Hawks. These guys all deployed right now. Here is a cruiser. Oh, look at this, one of the old Tychos, man. I love the Ticonderogas. Guys, this is the American battleship for the missile age, as far as I'm concerned. That's my personal opinion, because in the missile age, we still had the Iowa was still had been brought out of the mothballs. So just one, Lake Champlain is with them. The destroyer squadron, they better have more than one destroyer. Yeah, here we go. Oh, wow, these guys are still underway. These guys have been underway for a long time. This group of 5 here, holy smokes. The Dewey, the O'Kane, the Michael Murphy, the Chafee, and the Stockdale. I think they went underway in August. So 5 months now. 5 months of being underway. All right, here's the Gulf of Aden. This is where they just tested the Navy's second generation laser called the LODS. And I don't have any information on what the LODS, how effective it is. We just know that it works, like it physically fires and hits targets that it's pointed at. But that's all that they'll tell us. The rest of it's secret. So here's a Coast Guard ship. Check this out. Now, a lot of Coast Guard ships have the same paint scheme, so I can't say that's an American Coast Guard ship, even though it looks like one. But there they are in the Indian Ocean with a Coast Guard ship, operating with naval assets. That's how integrated the Coast Guard has become with us. That's why I think we should let them operate the LCS ships. But that's probably never going to happen. All right, in the Mediterranean Sea, here we have Chief Aviation Boatswain's Mate handling Sheldon Popo from Brooklyn. He directs the flight deck on board the Nimitz. So there he is. He's like, go over there. Oh, or go over here. I don't know. He's pointing in two different directions. I guess he's giving the pilot choices. He's like, which way do you want to go? All right, I don't know. I have no idea what that means. I'm just joking. All right, the aircraft carrier HS Truman, home ported out of Virginia, they just got underway. So they knew they were going to miss Christmas. They knew that ahead of time. Here's the FA-18E Super Hornet attached to the Flying Checkmates Strike Fighter Squadron VFA 211. They're landing right there. You can see the skid of the, looks like the port tire is kind of hitting first there. Catching a wire. Really good photo. And here they have the Red Rippers, the Checkmates, like we just saw fighting Checkmates, Blue Blasters, Sunliners, the Rooks are with them. That's the Electronic Warfare Squadron. Seahawks, Rawhides, Dragon Slayers, and Proud Warriors. That's a maritime helicopter squadron there. Underway with the, what did I say, Truman? Here's a nice port view, star. Yeah, this is the port side. But we're looking from the starboard side of this ship here to the port side of that ship. Now they'd be going the same direction, unless they're passing each other. I don't know. Anyway, that's Ticonderoga. It looks really good. I don't know which way this guy's going. Are they both going the same way? Yeah, they're transiting alongside each other. I should have read that first. Okay, so they're both going that way. Oh, here we go. What's this? Destroyer Squadron 28. Oh, yeah, that's the USS San Jacinto. That's looking back. That looks like a little Arleigh back there. Here's an Arleigh Burke destroyer, USS Jason Dunham. Isn't he that guy that makes all the transporter movies? I guess he's on a destroyer too. And the Royal Moroccan Navy's Sigma class frigate is in the background there. You can see it. And here we have the Cull, the Bainbridge, the Gravely, Jason Dunham, and Royal Norwegian Navy frigate HNOMS. Oh boy. I'll just call him Nansen. Yeah, we'll call him the F310 right there. That's what we're going to do there. Just going to skip that part. Anyway, so those are the guys that are underway right now, the American fleets with a few attachments from other nations. Hats off to them. Merry Christmas to them if they're watching this. Really appreciate you guys going underway during the holidays. It's always a tough deployment, and then you put the holidays in there where you're not with your family. Makes it that much more difficult. Has anyone here in the chat been deployed during Christmas? I'm sure anyone that has served more than, say, 3 or 4 years must have been deployed during Christmas, because that's just how the rotations work out. Oh, see here. Derp says, how does the sub crew handle Christmas? Oh, we usually have like a little Christmas tree we put up in the crew's mess. The wardroom has probably one too. I don't go in the wardroom that much. That's officer country, and then we'll do like halfway night boxes, which are basically shoe boxes that we bring underway with us. And we'll open them up on Christmas Day. If we don't do it on halfway night, we'll do it on Christmas Day. Yeah, that's kind of how we do it. We also have a special meal. There's no drills that day. Holiday routine. We'll watch a lot of movies. That's kind of what we do. Ninja says you've been deployed to your basement since last year. Yeah, that's true. We've all been kind of locked down, haven't we? P Pistol was deployed during Christmas rather. I'm talking like Mike Tyson right now. Christmas during both deployments. So you went on 2 deployments. They were both over the holidays. That's too bad. Yeah. Panzer says you got deployed the day after Christmas for the Gulf War. That's right. Yeah. Was that the first one, 1991? Because that would fit right in that timeline. Yeah. Anyway, good stuff. Hats off to everybody that has served during the holidays, and especially these ladies and gentlemen right now. Appreciate it. We're going to continue on with this segment here, so it's not too short for you. And we're going to recognize the French Navy. They did something pretty incredible, and we're going to acknowledge here. I've been a little bit critical of Naval Group, which is the French-owned company that builds ships, and that's a different topic. But as far as I'm concerned, the French sailors, officers, and crew are outstanding seamen. And here we're going to recognize the French Navy FREM frigates, Hook, U.S. Navy ASW award again. So we got an award in the Navy. It's actually a kind of a NATO European and American award called the Hookem. And it's awarded to ships that perform well in finding and tracking submarines. And this is the second year in a row France has won this award. So here's a picture of it. It says, Commander, U.S. 6th Fleet, Hookham Award for ASW Excellence. Pleased to present CTF 473 and their units. And these are French ships, the Provence and the Languedoc, I guess. Languedoc. Not sure if I'm saying that one right. The Hookham Award rewards anti-submarine warfare ASW excellence. It is presented quarterly to a unit supporting U.S. Navy 6th Fleet, also known as U.S. Naval Forces Europe, which has demonstrated superior ASW readiness, proficiency, and operational impact. Vice Admiral Frederick C. Turner established the Hookham Award way back in 1975 to recognize the 6th Fleet's ships, submarines, and aircraft squadrons demonstrating ASW excellence. The award was discontinued 2 decades later, but was recently reestablished by Admiral Fogo III in 2016. So I'm glad that they reestablished it, because it's important to recognize how difficult it is to find and track submarines, even if you're on another submarine, which is probably the easiest way to do it. But if you're in a helicopter or maritime patrol, especially on a surface ship, if you don't have the tools that this one has, it's nigh impossible. Very, very difficult. But let's talk about the tools that the French use to do this. So it's very powerful tool here. Here's a picture of them in port. I want to get to the good stuff. Oh, of course, one of the biggest tools that they all have, and Americans use this too, helicopters. You know, this dipping sonar is a big part of it, or just sonar buoys, either one or both. Very important tool in localizing where a submarine is at. Because imagine the way you find a submarine is really through teamwork of multiple sensors. Even if you're on another submarine and you're with a fleet, multiple sensors. And you kind of just begin by saying, well, the submarine isn't over here, so let's look over there. And if you get like an initial detection eventually, let's assume that, right? You don't have his position right away. You just know that we hear something in this direction. So you're going to begin building fences, okay? Is the best way to think about it. And you're going to try to fence in this area that, if you ever lose contact, slowly grows at the speed of the submarine is capable of. So if it's a fast attack, you know, it could grow at like 25, 30 knots, right? Or even faster than that. Anyway, so what you do is you take this area of uncertainty, we'll call it, and you want to shrink it. So we get a bearing and we get a rough guesstimate range, and we put a little circle around that called area of uncertainty. And with that, we send out the helicopters to say, all right, go search this area, see if you can help shrink it a little bit. Or if you have multiple assets, put assets on each side of the area of uncertainty and walk it in. That prevents him from getting out left or right. And it's this whole teamwork approach that includes highly mobile sensors like maritime patrol aircraft and helicopters to help break in that area of uncertainty. The next tool, this one here, is the one that we really need to put on the Constellation class frigate the United States is going to build. And this is the CAPTAS. This is the combined active and passive towed array. And it's this little body right here. And this is a little fin behind it, stabilization fin there. And they can change depth. They can dip this thing to any depth that they want to. And that's really important because you can get it below that ever important layer or multiple layers that submarines take advantage of to escape active prosecution. Well, they can dip this thing down to the same depth that they expect the submarine to be at, so it doesn't have that advantage. This is a very powerful tool, and the United States, for whatever reason, we don't put this on like the Arleigh Burkes. If we do, I don't know about it. Let's put it that way. But we need to put this on the Constellation class for sure. That's our next generation frigate. CAPTAS. We'll let people in the chat tell me if it's on the Arleigh Burkes. So designed to produce and produced by Thales, CAPTAS 4's combined active passive towed array, also known as the S-2087, equips the first rank ASW frigates such as the Royal Navy Type 23, the Type 26 frigate, and the French FREM FDI frigates, and Italian frigates as well. So everybody but the Americans are using this particular Thales design variable depth sonar. I know the American destroyers, we've got towed arrays. That's different than what this is. This is a towed sonar array, but it's got much more capabilities than the ones that I'm aware of. Okay, the case for the U.S. Navy to look closely at Cap Task 4. The Royal Navy and Marine National both operate Thales flash dipping sonar from their air assets and the Cap Task 4. ASW experts from both navies have described the combination of the two sonars as world-beating. U.S. Navy is an existing user of the flash dipping sonar, locally known as ALFS, and Cap Task was initially selected by the U.S. Navy to meet the ASW escort mission required by a littoral combat ship. Okay, so the ASW version of the LCS looks like it has this. That's actually really good. Okay, so look at that. Something that the LCS can do well is operate this Cap Task. I honestly did not know this until just now. But in the end, the new variable depth sonar design by Raytheon Geospectrum was selected. Oh, shit. So the LCS does not have that. It's still useless. Okay, the LCS is said to have faced issues during the integration of process. Of course they had issues. The issue was Raytheon wasn't making enough money. With this in mind, yet another Hookem Award for the two Cap Task equipped ship. Maybe the U.S. Navy will consider Thales VDS for its own Constellation class. I think that they should. I think that we need to try this Thales design. I've seen this in person. It's really big. You'd be surprised how big this is. And it's really capable whenever you combine it with the highly mobile ASW assets. All right. Is that it? No, we got one more. I wanted to revisit this because this is such an important story. This is a story of perhaps, maybe, the Navy throwing an innocent man under the bus to protect its poor practices. Possibly. We're going back to LHD-6. This is that large amphibious ship that was caught fire about 2 years ago now. It's been a while now, year and a half ago, in San Diego, and it basically burned itself up. We ended up having to scrap it, almost $1 billion ship, or might have been, I saw one estimate saying it was a $2 billion ship because they just put a bunch of equipment on it. It burned it all itself to the ground, and they had accused this one sailor of starting the fire and actually charged him with doing that. And whenever that happened, I warned you guys, if you go back and watch the videos from a year ago now here on YouTube, when we're talking about the LHD-6, I said, let's wait till the jury's, or the trial's finished before we talk about the sailor. Even though they made his name public, I didn't want to desecrate the guy just yet. Well, now that the trial's in progress, the trial's happening right now. So a lot of the facts that are being brought before the court are becoming public because it's public record once it's brought before the court. The first thing is they did not charge the sailor with sabotaging the firefighting equipment. Remember, we reported that CO2 bottles were empty and fire hoses were cut or nozzles were completely missing. Apparently, that was not sabotage. And I say it was not sabotage, as previously reported, by the way, because they didn't charge the sailor with the sabotage. It was neglect. They had literally neglected their own firefighting capability to the point of nozzles that are made out of brass. So maybe that's part of the reason why they're gone. Completely missing. CO2 bottles completely empty because maybe, and I've seen this before, this is why I bring this up. Allegedly, perhaps a sailor discharged a CO2 fire extinguisher because it's fun. Yeah, I've seen them do it in the dry dock, got them in trouble, replaced the CO2, in the case I'm talking about. But so it's possible that sailors that get bored, that are in dry dock for long periods of time, like this boat was, screwed around with the damage control equipment and did not properly replace it because they didn't want to get in trouble or whatever. Anyway, as far as the sabotage of firefighting equipment goes, the sailor is not charged with doing that. So as far as I'm concerned, because there's no charges, the sabotage, as far as I'm concerned, did not occur. It was neglect of their own firefighting equipment. That's one of the big bombshells that's not even brought up in this story. But here's what it is. Oh, and hats off to this guy. This is a firefighter from San Diego Federal Fire Department. So that's the shipyard firefighters. He's looked like he's having a rough day. Feel bad for him. What's his name? Do they give him credit by name? They don't. Okay, I don't have his name. Anyway, let's read from the piece and you'll see how bad this gets. An expert in electrical engineering, okay, so this is somebody, a professional witness that they bring up on the stand, told the Navy court that an electrical short in a forklift or some faulty batteries, both of which were in the space that caught fire, could have sparked the fire that ultimately led to the service to scrap the former LHD-6, countering the Navy's acceptance that a federal firefighter investigation that a disgruntled sailor had deliberately set the fire. Andrew Thorenson, a forensics engineer, said that in a limited 4-hour visit to the ship's lower vehicle dock 1 year ago, he found a wire in a forklift's main conductor feed had a globule of melted copper wires. That shows that it's being shorted out and getting really hot. Okay, this is inside a forklift, okay? Such globule was likely the result of a localized spot of arcing activity that would generate high heat by touching the metal frame, igniting nearby flammable materials strewn about the stowage area, and the cause of the damage we have in this case. Thorson testified on Wednesday that the Article 32 preliminary hearing of the seaman apprentice Ryan Mays, accused of hazarding a vessel to aggravated arson in 2020. So he continues, says, we can opine that this is definitely arcing because of the copper melts at roughly 2,000 degrees, he said Wednesday. Gary Berthel says, on other copper strands in 2 feet of wire he visibly inspected weren't melted. So we know that that's the only electrical activity that can cause that in the localized pattern. So in other words, the melted wire that he found wasn't because the ship burnt down. The melted wire was separate from that and perhaps the cause of the fire, not some kind of intentional burning. Okay, shown in the court photograph, Thorenson had taken the damaged wire held by his gloved hand along with images on the forklift fire damage of lower V. He says it's definitive that it was arcing, he said, who investigated more than 3,000 fire scenes over a 20-year career. So this guy certainly is an expert. Something else that they found that they failed to mention in any other report or news stories that I read is that they were lithium-ion batteries in buckets down in that weld. And if a lithium-ion battery has a failure internal to the battery, it will generate a lot of heat and potentially catch on fire. We believe this brought down one of the airplanes over in the Indonesian area a couple years ago. And have you ever heard of your phones exploding? Well, that's the battery in there shorting out, getting too hot. Well, they had lithium-ion batteries stored in just buckets. So that's another potential source of the fire other than the accused. These should have been brought up in the initial report, but the initial report that accused the sailor didn't mention any of these things. So that's really the problem I have with this. Okay, they're a major cause of fire that we see all the time, he said, the expert says. He says, but he was unable to do any lab analysis or x-ray the batteries to determine whether they had any internal cell failure that would spark the fire. None of the batteries were analyzed by federal investigators because it would contradict their story if they found evidence there that the sailor had started the fire. And this is why I'm beginning to think that this young seaman apprentice may be a scapegoat, because at this point, the ATF investigators, the people that are going to investigate this fire initially, have already found their cause. It's that guy over there, because they have one witness testimony saying that he was in the area. Yeah, they're going off one witness, and we'll get to her. She's coming up. All right. So because they did not investigate whether or not any of the batteries had any internal damage, which they could have easily done through x-ray analysis, they didn't want to find, it appears, any reason other than the accused sailor to be the source of the fire. All right. I'm not going to read the whole article to you. I encourage you to go to NSI USNI News to read the article. Okay. So let's talk about this witness. The whole case hinges on one person witnessing another person in the vicinity of where the fire began. And that's the entire prosecution's case. That's all they have, is he was over there. Fire started over there too. Maybe connected. That's pretty damn thin. Okay, let's read from the piece. Fire investigators used visual examination of photographs that show varying degrees of fire and heat damage to help make sense of what happened in lower V area as they worked backwards from the exterior areas to the less fire damaged to determine initial fire location. Other information such as activation of the damage and embedded heat sensors in the ship's spaces aid them in this process because it's a very large ship, over 840 feet long. During testimony last Monday, the lead ATF investigator said his team, that included 9 other certified fire inspectors, agreed that we had an incendiary fire, meaning that it was deliberately set. Somebody took a match, a flame, did something to create heat and cause the fire. Okay, so they seems like they began with this premise, but that's what they came to. That decision ruled out 3 other possibilities: natural causes, an accident, or undermined. And we'll break those down. Okay, that conclusion in the preliminary fire origination and cause, that application of the open flame ignited combustibles that there were either cardboard drywall stacked near the bulkhead in lower V deck, or vapors and liquids such as diesel or mineral spirits stored in the spaces, Special Agent lead investigator said. He also said he eliminated all other possible ignition sources except open flame. That included forklifts and vehicles and batteries. It's unclear from his testimony whether he or other investigators did in-depth inspections to any of those items. Again, going back to the forklift potentially causing a short, causing the fire, and whether or not the batteries had any kind of internal failure. Of course, the batteries are all charred now, so they have failures now. But before then, did they have any failures? They never tested. They never looked. Okay, Beals, a certified fire investigator, testified that he determined the fire originated along a bulkhead near 2 forklifts. So potentially the forklift right there, but yet they never pursued that. Oh, all right, let's get to the witness. We really want to get to this. All right, we talk about the gaps in the investigation, of course. Let's get down to the accused here. It's a very long article. It's a very good article, by the way. I recommend you do read it. Okay, here we go. Another potential suspect. Here we go. Okay, attorneys and prosecutors haggled on Wednesday over additional information and evidence that Tang should consider before she makes her recommendation to Collier. Okay, Lieutenant Taylor Haggerty, a defense attorney sought to include a voluminous JAGMAN report that includes the fire spread because of the unpreparedness of the ship. I mean, that's clearly the case. They were not prepared. They were not trained to fight. I mean, this ship had been in dry dock or in a maintenance availability for over a year, long period of time. A lot of sailors rotating in and out in that time. A lot of the experienced sailors that had been on her when she was at sea are no longer there. A lot of the people that are coming on board are brand new. They either come from shore duty, so they don't have any recent firefighting experience or training, or they're brand new to the Navy. This is their first ship. They don't have any experience at sea at all. And apparently they're not getting any follow-on training with all the damage control materials that they have on board. That's a real oversight that they brought out in the investigation. Okay, this happened because the ship was a disaster waiting to happen, says the defense attorney defending the seaman apprentice. Yeah. So regardless of the fire's origin, it burnt down, not because of whoever said it or whatever said it. It burnt down because the ship was not prepared to fight the fire. Okay. Haggerty also wants to consider information from another sailor who a witness said she saw and recognized in lower V before the fire, a potential suspect in the fire. So the seaman apprentice that is accused is not the only person in the vicinity. Both sailor and the witness who saw the sailor in lower V were interviewed by NCIS. But Federico objected, saying that the suspected sailor, who has since been kicked out of the Navy for unstated reasons, is a distraction on the side. They also object to evidence that the female sailor who said she saw him on the ramp while he was returning to the hangar bay after stopping at a vending machine on the lower deck. So there is another sailor, a second suspect, who has been kicked out of the Navy. They did not get an honorable discharge. It doesn't say what discharge they got. That's all sealed. We don't even know that person's name, but yet they're focusing on this one accused sailor. It just seems there's a lot of evidence here. Well, there's no evidence that he did it. That's the thing. And it's a court of law. You got to prove that he did it. They did not do that yet. This case is still ongoing, but now we know there were multiple people in the area where the fire began right before it began, not just this one guy. And there's no evidence that he did anything. So it's starting to look like he's a scapegoat. I'm beginning to have some sympathy for him, but again, I'm going to reserve my judgment until the court case is finished. It's going underway right now. they clearly rushed the initial investigation. That's clear. They didn't look at all the possibilities. They found the first one and ran with that one because it was a very high profile case. It was all over the news. It cost billions of dollars. They wanted answers, and they took the first choice in the multiple choice test. They circled A. They never looked at B, C, and D. Yeah. And it's a shame because the person who set the fire might be out of the Navy now. Kicked out of the Navy. Anyway, so again, I urge everyone to not rush to judgment. We don't have all the facts. These are just the facts we have right now. The case is ongoing. Leave your comments in the comment section, and I'll take a look at them, okay? Let me know what you guys think. All right, thanks for watching, everybody. Bye. Hey, it's Aaron from Subbrief. I hope you liked the video. Make sure you click the like button and subscribe to the YouTube page if you haven't already. Also, check out our playlist. We have Naval News playlist. We have Subbrief lecture playlists, which are in-depth analysis into different classes of submarines. And yes, even warships now. We're expanding into warships because we've covered so many of the submarines. I also have a second channel. If you're looking for the gameplay video that used to be a big part of the Subbrief YouTube channel, head on over to OnlySubs. That's right. OnlySubs, little tongue-in-cheek YouTube channel that I've created to put all the gameplay content that you guys love. This is where we just sit back, have fun, do some live stream video games for a couple hours a few times a week, and we put the VODs over here on OnlySubs on the YouTube channel. All right, click like and subscribe over here and have a good time. Leave a comment down below and I'll be sure and read it, and I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching my video, everybody. Bye.